Welcome back to Affirmation with the segment called Storytime for the Children of the Slaves. Okay. And today we're going to be reading a story by Dr. Seuss, another Dr. Seuss one called The Big Brag. Okay. And so we'll get to that, but I want to share something with you all before we got started. One of the things we talk about, the reason why we do this segment is that we want to connect with our inner child. Again, in slavery, our people, our children were not allowed to be children. And throughout the generations, the way that's played out, a lot of times we were not allowed to be children, as well as our kids, right? Because we have to live two lives, our life as well as being cautious because of our children being viewed as adults. Okay, they were sold in slavery as well, and we've been talking a lot about police brutality, and it doesn't take much for us to be harmed, but our children as well. They are a lot of times are judged much more harshly and not viewed as children at times. So we have to teach them that. But one of the important things it is for us to be able to do this segment because we want to tap into our inner child. Okay, that is where we imagine and we dream and we hope. Okay, and so I wanted to show you all this book called Self Care, and it was very interesting what they were saying, and that I want to share with you all. Okay. So this one was talking about, children inherently have a sense of wonder about the world, right? They normally are focused on the here and now. Remember when we were children, there would be problems. You might have even gotten spanked, but as soon as you get to do something fun, you're totally focused. You're not worried about the next thing. Okay. We want to awaken our inner child. To connect with your inner child, you must plug back into two components mentioned. Okay. Number one, fascination with simple things. And number two, our connection to the present moment and the world around you. Those are the keys to awakening your inner child. Being able to be amazed at simple things, and being totally immersed in the here and now. Okay. Um, and so over time, we'll be talking about some of the activities, okay, called exercises and fascination. Okay. This is interesting. They have one on there talking about break something in order to to be able to kind of tap into being free. But again, when we hear that, I even cringe when I hear that. We don't allow those type of things. Again, in slavery, if you broke something, we got hurt, right? So I don't know about that one for me. I don't think I can do that one. But we'll be talking more about some of the activities that they have in order for us to tap into our inner child. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started on the story called, let's see, I hope you all can see it, The Big Brag. Oh yeah, how could I forget? I want to introduce our mascot, guys. Oh, look at the turtle. My daughter crocheted that for me. So we have a mascot now. As those of you who are new, I don't know, you all may not know that I love turtles. And this is so cute. I love it. Okay. So that's our mascot. What should we name our mascot? Let me know in the comment section, okay? So it's called The Big Brag. The Big Brag. Okay, let's see if this thing is going to be in focus. Okay. Okay, so what we got here? Can we see? Okay. It says, the rabbit felt mighty important that day on top of the hill in the sun where he lay. He felt so important up there on that hill that he started in bragging as animals will. And he boasted out loud as he threw out his chest, of all the beasts in the world, I'm the best. Oh, on land and on sea, even up in the sky, no animal lives who is better than I. What's that? Growled a voice that was terribly gruff. Now, why do you say such ridiculous stuff? The rabbit looked down and he saw a big bear. I'm best of the beasts, said the bear. And so there. You're not, sniffed the rabbit. I'm better than you. Pooh, the bear snorted. Again, I say pooh. You talk mighty big, Mr. Rabbit, that's true, but how can you prove it? Just what can you do? Thought the rabbit. Now what can I do? He thought and he thought, then finally he said, Mr. Bear, do you see these two ears on my head? My ears are so keen and so sharp and so fine, no ears in the world can hear further than mine. Huh, the bear grunted. He looked at each ear. You say they're good, said the bear with a sneer, but how do I know just how far they can hear? I'll prove, said the rabbit, my ears are the best. You sit there and watch me. I'll prove it by test. Then he stiffened his ears till they both stood up high and pointed straight up at the blue of the sky. He stripped his ears open as wide as he could. Shh, I am listening, he said as he stood. He listened so hard that he started to sweat, and the fur on his ears and his forehead got wet. For 7 long minutes he stood, then he stirred, and he said to the bear, do you know what I heard? Do you see that far mountain? It's 90 miles off. There's a fly on that mountain. I just heard him cough. Now, the cough of a fly, sir, is quite hard to hear when he's 90 miles off, but I heard it quite clear. So you see, bragged the rabbit, it's perfectly true that my ears are the best, so I'm better than you. For the bear for a moment just sulked as he sat, for he knew that his ears couldn't hear things like that. This rabbit, he thought, made a fool out of me. Now I've got to prove that I'm better than he. So he said to the rabbit, you hear pretty well. You can hear 90 miles, but how far can you smell? I'm the greatest of smellers, he bragged. See my nose? This nose on my face is the finest that grows. My nose can smell anything, both far and near. With my nose, I can smell twice as far as you can hear. You can't, snapped the rabbit. I can, growled the bear. And he stuck his big nose way up in the air. He wiggled that nose and he sniffed and he snuffed. He waggled that nose and he whiffed and he wuffed. For more than 10 minutes he snaffed and he snuffed. Then he said to the rabbit, I've smelled far enough. All right, said the rabbit, come on now and tell exactly how far the smell that you smell. Oh, I'm smelling a very far smell, said the bear. Away past that fly on that mountain out there. I'm smelling past many great mountains beyond 600 miles, more to the edge of the pond. And way, way out there by the pond, you can't see, is a very small farm. On the tree, on the farm is a tree. On the tree is a branch, and on the branch is a nest, and a very small nest where two tiny eggs rest, two hummingbird eggs, only half an inch long. But my nose, said the bear, it's so wonderfully strong. My nose is so good that I smelled without fail that the egg on the left is a little bit stale, and that is the thing that no rabbit can do. So you see, the bear boasted, I'm better than you. The smeller's so keen that it just can't be beat. What's that? Called a voice from way down by his feet. The bear and the rabbit looked down at the sound and they saw an old worm crawling out of the ground. Now, boys, said the worm, you've been bragging a lot. You both think you're great, but I think you are not. You're not half as good as a fellow like me. You can hear, you can smell, but how far can you see? Now, I'm here to prove to you, big boasting guys, that your nose and your ears aren't as good as my eyes. And the little old worm cocked his head to one side and he opened his eyes and he opened them wide. And they looked far away with a strange sort of snare, as if they were burning two holes in the air. The eyes of that worm almost popped out of his head. He stared half an hour till his eyelids got red. That's enough, growled the bear. Tell the rabbit and me, how far did you look and just what did you see? Well, boys, the worm answered, that look that I took was a look that looked farther than you'll ever look. I looked across the ocean way out to Japan, for I could see farther than anyone can. There's no one on earth who has eyesight this finer. I looked past Japan, then I crossed across China. I looked across Egypt, then took a quick glance across the two countries of Holland and France. Then I looked across England and also Brazil, but I didn't stop there. I looked much farther still. And I kept right on looking and looking until I looked round the world and right back to this hill. And I saw on this hill, since my eyesight's so keen, the two biggest fools that I've ever seen. And the fools that I saw were none other than you, who seem to have nothing else better to do than to sit here and argue who's better than who. Then the little worm gave his head a little small jerk and he dived in his hole and went back to work. The end. Okay. I hope you enjoyed that. The big brag, right? It's so funny when we think about bragging. It's kind of like competition, right? We all have to have. Everybody been talking about narcissists. We all have some level of narcissism in order to be able to have self pride, right? So you have to have a little, but it's when it goes overboard. And again, one of the things that they did to us is that they had us competing with each other, right? And so we still see that today, where we are so fixated on competing with each other to the point to where we can't work together as a team. Now we did work together in the past, but again, a lot of our efforts after slavery was sabotage. But now with programming, like music, movies, certain things that we're being exposed to now kind of controls our brain. But we're fixated on competing with each other. And again, nothing wrong with complimenting yourself, but it's when you're complimenting yourself trying to make sure you're putting someone else down. Okay, I'm going to post a video in the comments section called the Battle Royale. Some of you may have heard of this, where they would have children and sometimes even men, different age groups, come together and fight. And the last one standing would get a treat. Okay, and so we're still doing that today. I even think about our professional pro, football, basketball world and sports as well. In the arenas, we're great athletes. And so people pay big money to see us compete against each other, right? And so we definitely have, been programmed and have fallen into the trap today, I think, of competing with each other. Okay, so we want to be mindful of that. We do encouraging us to journal, right? And to look at, sometimes you're content with your life and then you see someone else do something and then all of a sudden you're changing your whole plans. Before you change your plans, please put pen to paper and journal. Was I content before I found out that such and such was doing a thing? Okay, because sometimes we are creating chaos in our lives and not making true progress because we're changing every time we're seeing other people, because we're being activated by this kind of competition. Okay, so we want to be aware of that. Okay. And also too, and sometimes we are motivated by other people, but sometimes we're inspired, but because they brainwashed us, it turns into anger, like we're competing. Sometimes you're inspired and that's okay, right? And so it's tricky. It's a tricky thing, but just something that I want you all to watch out for. Okay. And so with that being said, I want to thank you all for joining me again. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, I want you all to remember to never forget your inner child. And until next time.